We just got dealt a mighty blow by one of the nation's largest healthcare providers, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And in this episode, I want to break down what's happening and how it might affect you. So thank you so much for tuning in to Zepbound Journey with Ange. I'm Angela Durant. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. It's exciting to have you here. For those of you who have been following the journey, thank you for coming back and tuning in. And I want to also give a shout out and thank Felice Robinson for sending out a 911 to our community so that we got this information first. So, for those of you who have not heard the news, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan is changing their policy on coverage for GLP-1 medication. The change is going to happen July 31st is going to be the last day prior to this new change. So the change is going to take effect August the 1st through December 3rd. The first change is going to happen August the 1st through December 31st. And let me just tell you what's happening. They have decided to change the criteria for pre-authorization medication, for pre-authorization on GLP-1 medications for weight loss. Okay? For weight loss. They have raised the bar on what's required in order for you to get approved. So those pre-authorizations that you currently have will be null and void. You'll have to get a new pre-authorization as of August the 1st if you're on, if you're insured, if you're covered by Michigan's Blue Cross Blue Shield, right? Now, why does that matter to you if you're not covered by Michigan's Blue Cross Blue Shield? Well, typically it's a domino effect, right? I'm not with Michigan's Blue Cross Blue Shield, but I have Independence Blue Cross Blue Shield out of Pennsylvania, right? And what does it matter to you if you have Aetna or another other coverage? Well, if one insurance company does it, it could affect other insurance companies. Now, Blue Cross Blue Shield is like a federation. Like they have 35 other companies across the United States that could be impacted by this. But the first one to go is going to be Michigan. And let me tell you about that. Let me just tell you and break down for you what is actually happening. Okay. The first thing is these pre-authorizations. So the pre-authorization that you currently have may be null and void effective August the 1st. So we need to be prepared for this. You need to make changes if this affects you right away, okay? And let me just tell you let me just back up and say why I think it's happening. Number one, I think it's happening because there are so many people who have who were requested and been prescribed these medications that it's overwhelming to healthcare providers. It is overwhelming. I think I read that, and I'm going to put the article below too, so you have that as well as any videos that I found on it, all the backup. But I think I read that Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan is currently paying like $8 million for obesity medication coverage, right? Initially they were paying that, and it has grown, it has ballooned. It's over 100 and something now, and they're projecting it to be 200 million as of 2025. That's the projection. So it's like skyrocketed, right? So one is cost. And now they gave other reasons in the article or in the press release that they put out. They given other reasons, and I'm going to go over that with you in just a minute. But I want to talk about the changes for pre-authorization because it's really important. Now I'm going to share this with you on screen, see if you can see this. But basically, it's saying that that it's going to affect drugs like Saxenda, Wegovy, and Zepbound, which almost all of us here are on or trying to be on, right? The pre-authorizations for these drugs will end midnight July 31st, which I just mentioned to you, and they have established new rules, right? And so I'm going to go over what the new rules are going to be. The new rules are going to be you have to be 18, you have to be 18 or older to qualify, and your body mass index has to be 35 or greater. And I think it used to be 27, but now it's 35 or greater, right? Currently, with this medication, I've been able to go from like a 53 for my body mass index to a 40. Let's see, what am I at? I'm like 46 now, 46. But still, I know there's so many of you who may be but still carrying a lot of excess weight, but you might be a 34, right? So that's one thing. So if you're not that, you'll probably get denied for your pre-authorization. The next thing is the medication must be prescribed by a healthcare provider who has an established relationship with you, right? Who has an established relationship with you. So and with the and see has seen the member in person. Okay, so a lot of you who have telehealth companies that you're working with, denied. It will probably be denied. The next thing is that the prescriber must document the member's current baseline weight within 30 days, right? And the prescriber, so for the doctors, the prescribers must document the member's active participation in lifestyle modification program, working with a coach, tracking food, and exercising for a minimum of 6 months. For a minimum of 6 months. So they are really put. So what happens to somebody who just started 3 months ago? What happens to you if you haven't? If your healthcare provider hasn't been tracking it, you haven't. You have no evidence of that, right? Will you be denied? Okay. These are getting really, really tough. And then it says the prescriber will no longer be able to attest to a member's participation. The prescriber must submit documentation or the request will be denied. Okay. And then it says, so this is all criteria for prior authorization approval. The member must, not can, must enroll and participate in the Teledoc Health Program for weight management. This is a program at no cost to the eligible member, but offers easy to use tools and support. The prescriber must submit documentation of the member's active participation or the request will be denied. Now, this kind of reminds me of this Teledoc uh, program. It's like Big Brother. To me, it's like Big Brother, keeping an eye on you and seeing if you're progressing with the medication, if you're doing all the things you need to be doing. I used to be a part of a program with my husband's insurance a couple years back where, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but basically, they sent a scale to your house, right? They shipped you a scale and you would get in and weigh in on the scale. Like at least once a week, you had to weigh in. And that was documented. Like you could go on to the site or onto your app and it showed your progress over time, right? So I'm wondering if the teledoc program is going to be something like that, where they can see your weight changes. Like you're not just saying I weigh this, or the doctor's not just saying what you weigh because you talk to them over the phone or something, but will you actually weigh in? The article doesn't say that, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be very similar, where they can really track what's going on with people. And then it says, in addition to the requirements above for Saxenda, Wegovy, and Zepbound, it can't be, the prior authorization can't be used in combination with other weight loss products or other products that contain a GLP-1 agonist, right? Um, and this doesn't affect you if you are type 2 diabetic and you're on Mounjaro or Ozempic. It doesn't talk about Mounjaro or Ozempic. So it's saying if you're a type 2 diabetic, which some of us could become a type 2 diabetic if we don't have our medication, and we start to regain the weight. But if you're not, if you're a type 2 diabetic, these rules don't apply to you. Okay. Only if you're suffering from the disease of obesity, this could affect you. Okay. And then down here, it also says that if a member is affected, you'll need to submit a new prior authorization request for the following new requirements for dates of service beginning August the 1st, right? That's what we talked about. And it says, if the new coverage requirements are not met, or the documentation noted above is not included in the prior authorization request, these Blue Cross and BCN members will no longer qualify for coverage. Will no longer qualify for coverage. Whew, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. So I probably should have gone live so we could just talk about this because that's a big deal. So that's the first thing, the prior authorizations, right? Now wait, there's more. Okay. Not only did they dealt the blow of the prior authorizations, but they also said effective January 1. So what we're just talking about was from August to December. Now they're saying number two, this is the mighty blow that's coming, right? This is the knockout punch. Okay. You're just dazed right now. You're just dazed right now. But this is the one that's gonna take you out of here. Down for the count. January 1st, 2025, coverage for GLP-1 weight loss drugs for fully insured large group commercial members will end starting January 1st, 2025. So as of the new year, 2025, January, no coverage. They are not covering GLP-1s for weight loss, period. So then what do you do? What do you do then if they're not going to cover it, right? If they're not going to cover, so then if you have other comorbidities, say now your doctor can prescribe it if you have I don't know if they can prescribe for heart condition, but if you have hypertension and it helps hypertension, if it's proven to help sleep apnea, right? They can maybe prescribe it for that. But if it's for obesity, for weight management, no, they're not covering anymore. It's too expensive for them. And then they gave other reasons. I want to share some of the other things that they said. They said that they have these real world trends, and I'm going to share those with you below also. Real world trends in GLP-1 treatment, persistent and prescribing for weight loss, weight management. It says the adoption rate of prescribing GLP-1s for weight loss management has been exponential, right? It's overwhelming, right? And then they said, and I don't know how true this is, but it says 30% of patients stop treatment within 4 weeks before reaching the targeted dose, right? So I know in our community, we're taking it. Like we're taking it. We're losing weight, even if it's slow and steady. We're still doing it. But it's that there's this report that they have, this data that they're showing that 30% of the people are they're the insurance is covering it, and then they're stopping before within a month. Many people discontinued use of GLP-1 therapy before reaching clinically meaningful weight loss, is what they're saying. And they talk about the age. They're saying that if you are 35 years or older, you're more likely to be on it and continue it. And I know that's the majority of our community. We're 35 or older. And if you're seeing a primary care doctor, an endocrinologist, a obesity medicine specialist, you're more likely to get better results and continue on the medication, right? And then, of course, they want you to have change your lifestyle. They want you to have exercise and they want you to have a healthy diet. Well, we know that, right? We already know that. My biggest concern with this is um, it's impacting more women than men. They give you these statistics here. I want to show you. I don't know if you can see this, but this will be in here. That 79%, I don't know if it's showing the correct way, but 79% of us are women who are on this medication. And where the average age is 45 years old or older, right? So that's a lot of us. And my biggest concern is that I feel like this wouldn't happen with any other disease. So I feel like it's not being taken seriously that obesity is in fact a disease, right? And it's something that is life changing. And now the medication has proven that it can help us. It can help us, but it's possible that it could be taken away. And the reason why I want to sound the alarm is because even though it doesn't affect us today, many of us today, because we might not have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan coverage, it could be a domino effect that might impact us tomorrow. Okay, it might impact us tomorrow. And I know coming out of pocket $550 a month is not cheap, right? It's not easy. And some of you pay more than that. Some of you are paying over $1,000 a month for your medication. You're splitting doses, you're stretching the doses, and that doesn't even include the shortages, right? You're doing everything that you can to stay on the medication so that you can get the full impact of what you know it does. And so it makes me feel like if this were for any other disease, would they just say, no, effective January 1, we're not covering that anymore? I don't think so. I don't think they would if it was another disease, but I think there's still this stigma attached to obesity, where people think it's like a nice to have, right? It's a nice to have. It's a vanity thing, right? Of course, we want to look great. Of course, we want to lose weight, but our health is at stake. And one of the things that I said is that it's a disease, and we need the medication to arrest the disease, and then we can do all the other things, right? Many of us are doing everything we can to get this weight off, right? My doctors, they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, right? With nutrition and working out, and seeing them on a regular basis, communicating with them so that they're keeping an eye on running the blood work. They're doing all the things that is responsible to do to help your patient be successful. And now this is happening. And so my heart breaks for those of you who are immediately impacted. And then I'm concerned for all of the rest of us who may be affected. Now, what may end up happening, hypothetically, we already see a lot of people moving to compounds. There may be even more of this. There may be even more of this where companies that prescribe the compounds and have a full package. Your insurance may not cover it, but it may be a reasonable amount for you to pay to still have the medication. That could happen. The other thing I thought was, well, maybe Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly and companies like that, and they're the leaders in the space, right? Maybe they will come down on, they'll be forced to reduce the cost of the medication, because it's more expensive here in the United States than it is anywhere in the world, right? So they may be forced to come down so that patients can afford to pay for it, right? I don't know if politicians will get involved in this, if this will be, I know that there's a few politicians out there, they have our back, that's fighting the cause, but I don't know how big of an uproar this is going to cause. But it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. They said over 142 million Americans have applied to get this medication. 142 million Americans. So I'm going to leave the information below. I probably should have done a live so we could talk about it, but please leave your comments, your concerns here. If you have any other information, please share it with us so that we can share it with our community. I want everybody to be informed and for you to know what's going on, when it's going on. Talk to your healthcare provider. I'm going to reach out to mine just so we can have a plan in place, like a plan B. If this happens, then what are we doing? How are we going to continue care if this happens? And I would suggest that you do the same. Let me just see if there's anything else here that I missed. I think I covered pretty much everything. The details will be in those documents, so you can read through them for yourself. And I'll attach, there's a video that I watched too. I'll attach that there also. But I am just sending out great vibes for you. I don't want you to be stressed, because stress can bring on eating too. I don't want you to be worried, right? There's some things we just can't control ourselves. There's some things that are out of our hands. But I do want you to be informed. I do want you to be informed. Okay. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Would love your comments. Feel free, if you have questions, let me know. I'll do my best to do the research to find out. I'm also putting this out to the community because some of you have your finger on the pulse. Some of you may be in Michigan. So I want to know from you, like, what's going on. And as the changes occur, I want you to share those with me as well. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in. One other thing before we wrap. I know this isn't for everybody, but for those of you who have thought about having your own YouTube channel, for those of you who have a YouTube channel and you're really trying to get it off the ground, we have a program in beta. And I think I showed you guys my back end. Right now, we're over $700 from ad revenue from YouTube. And that is because the channel monetized. In order to monetize, you need at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And we're showing, I'm teaching, everything that I know about it. I'm teaching my community everything that I know about it. So if that's something that you are interested in, our channel monetized in 45 days. And right now we're over $700. And it's not a ton of money, but if, push comes to shove, we need to use that money to cover some of the insurance costs. It could be a big help. So if you're interested, I will put my email address in the show notes, and just send me an email saying I'm interested in your number, and I will reach out to you. Okay. And with that, I want you to go out there. I want you to be bold. I want you to be bold, because that's what it takes. Be bold to advocate for yourself. Ask the questions that you need answers to. I want you to be brave. I don't want you to be fearful or scared. Some things are out of your control. We do the things that's within our control, what we can do to take care of ourselves. And I want you to be brilliant, because you are. There are people who are watching your journey. There's people who are being inspired by your journey. There are people that be so encouraged by your journey that they'll start their own, right? So be brilliant, show up and shine, because you are brilliant. And with that, take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.